Hey guys, welcome to another episode of A Drummer's Guide to. So today I'm talking about a subject which has come to my attention from AD Wood. We love AD Wood. So he is asking about lessons. I think that this is a great subject. I can't believe I haven't actually touched on this yet because it has been such a huge part of who I am as a player, where I am right now, and continues to be, basically. So I can't believe I haven't spoken about this. It's ridiculous. So AD, thank you for pulling me up. You're absolutely right. I don't know what accent that was. I should be talking about lessons. So let's talk about it. I started playing when I was 11 years old. I started in a drum club in school. Now, you might want to say that was a collective communal lesson. There were about 30 of us, I think, in the class when it started. It gradually whittled its way down. It was every Thursday lunchtime, drum club. Woo! And yeah, after about, in fact, I don't know how long it was because my sense of time, and I'm not talking about this kind of time, I'm talking about like calendar time, horrendous. Let's say it was a month after I started drum club. I then opted to have lessons in school. They offered these 15-minute lessons and my parents agreed to pay, I don't even know how much it would have been. It wasn't a huge amount to have drum lessons. So I would have drum lessons once a week. That then turned into a half-hour lesson once a week with my friend Charisse. We decided that it was probably a better use of time if we both had a lesson together for half an hour. So that was really good. Then I ended up going out of school having an hour lesson a week, which then carried on. I mean, literally, it still happens now. It's not once a week, but it is, as often as I can, which is not very long. But before I carry on, I must do a shout out to all the teachers that have literally helped me along my journey. So the drum club was, the teachers were Stephen Follant, amazing Welsh fella from who was just a music teacher, Dave Rodgers, who was the head of music, and I see him maybe once a year still. He lives in Manchester now. He is an amazing human, and so they set up the drum club and they were instrumental. I'll tell you another story about Mr. Rodgers actually in a minute. They were instrumental in me picking up the sticks, basically. And then I had in school Graham Instrall, who was a teacher. That was the 15-minute lessons. And then who was the one after that? Oh, Jochim Greve. No, Jochim K. Greve. He was again a teacher in a school, and then went on to Rob Stevens, who did my grades with up until grade 8 when I was 15, and then moved on to Mike Dolbear, who has not been able to get rid of me ever since. So those have been my drum teachers who have specifically taught me just drums. They are all amazing people. They are all part of the reason that I am sitting here right now. And as I say, Mike is still my teacher and I love him dearly. So I just thought that was worth saying because teachers are so important. And I'll tell you a very quick story about Mr. Rodgers as well. So Dave Rodgers, I still call him sir when I see him. All right, sir. He is the reason that I believed I could do this, because when I started playing, literally the first week that I started, I came out of this drum club. I think I was loitering around or whatever, I'm not really sure, and overheard him talking to Steve Follant, and he was asking, oh, how was the drum club today? And Mr. Follant was like, yeah, it's really good. And Mr. Rodgers said, yeah, it seemed really good, and there's some good kids or whatever. And then he said, but there's something about that Emily, isn't there? And he just went, yeah. And I overheard this. I don't think I was meant to hear it, and I was just like, I can be good at something. Oh my god! So that was the catalyst for me, and it was just like, I am all in. I can be good at something. I've never felt like that before in my life, so let me go do that. So yeah, that's Mr. Rodgers. We love him. And yeah, so lessons are, I think, incredibly important, and I love things like online lessons. I think they have a place, but I think that one-on-one lessons with a teacher who is very experienced, knows how to convey ideas, is completely invaluable. And yes, you will pay for them. I think that your returns will come back, like, not even tenfold, 100, 1,000-fold if you implement what a teacher is asking you to do. And I think that the most valuable thing about it is that they can look at what you're doing, because you know how it is when you're playing an instrument. You're playing what you think you should be playing. You're practicing what you think you should be practicing. You might not be able to tell if you're improving, which in itself is kind of difficult, because you might lose motivation because you feel like you're not improving at all, or you just can't tell where your weaknesses are. And even if you could, it doesn't mean you know what to work on, especially in the early days. I certainly didn't. I was just trying to play things because they were fun, which is great and a great reason to play. But it's all good and well playing things you can play. If you want to actually get better, you got to look at the things that you can't play. And if you don't know what those are, you're kind of playing blind, as it were. So I feel like if you can have a teacher that can do... I mean, teachers are incredible, really. If they can boost the things that you're confident about, but then also look at the things that you're maybe not so good at and be able to tackle that while still upholding that, if that makes sense. Like, so tackle the vulnerabilities whilst also still supporting the strengths. And I know that all my teachers have always done that, and they are an incredible source of stability. You know, even to this day, if I'm feeling vulnerable about something, about a situation, if I don't know what to do, if I don't know where to turn, I will call up Mike. I will book in for a lesson and just be like, look, this is the situation. I mean, luckily, he's such an incredible teacher that he has given me so many tools to get through most situations, I think. And even if he hasn't, like I said, I know that I can call him and just be like, oh, I need to work on this. But his breadth of knowledge is so wide and his experience is so great. And because he teaches so many people and knows so many, like, professional drummers and just humans generally, he has this wealth of experience that I certainly don't have. But he can pull from all these different places to go, well, maybe you try this or maybe you try that. And to have that one-on-one relationship with someone that is literally focusing on you is invaluable. It's everything. Because, like I say, it's hard to see your weaknesses. It's hard to face up to them sometimes. Another good thing for me is, as I've said in a few videos, I am highly motivated when other people are relying on me. So the thought of going into a lesson every week and sitting there and looking like an idiot was such a big motivator, because I don't like looking like an idiot. And again, that's probably says a lot about my personality, and it's probably unhealthy in some situations, but it's how it is, and I am not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So the thought of sitting there looking like an idiot, or the thought of having Mike look at me and go, have you just not practiced anything? Which, full disclosure, sometimes I didn't. And I did look like an idiot. And I felt really bad about it. And I was paying for the lesson. I mean, it was just like, you often look at your younger self and go, what is wrong with you? Why did you not just practice? But anyway, to be able to see that progress and then to overcome obstacles, because believe you me, every week Mike would put something in front of me that I could not do, and I would struggle in front of him, and it would be absolutely devastating and I would feel horrendous. But then I would go away and I would work on it, and I would come back and I'd be like, look, I can do it, woo! Well, hopefully I can do it if I've practiced. Young Emily, would you just practice? Yeah, hopefully I would be able to play it. And to feel that sense of pride of like, I did this, I got better, was amazing. And he would be like, brilliant, sounds good, right, here's something else you can't do. So it was this perpetual thing of like, right, yeah, you can do that now, let's stretch it even further. And just having that motivation, that coaching almost, you know, was just invaluable. And it just gave me so much exposure to different types of music or different situations. Or, you know, he back in the day would absolutely put like music in front of me. Right, have a look at that quickly. Right, now play it. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And that was something that I found very hard to get over for a long time, but now I can read. Although, to be honest, I'm terrified the next time I book in for a lesson with Mike, he's going to go, right, so you keep saying that you're so good at reading now, okay, great, so here is a piece of music, go. And I'm going to, So yeah, but again, it comes with that position of like, cool, I am here to stretch you, I am here to make you better, I am not here to, go, oh, you're so great. I'm here to just, challenge you. And I think that person in your life, to have that constant, is so important. And that comes on to something else. It has to, now I have had a few different teachers, but to find one that you feel does push you in that way, but at the same time you trust with your vulnerability, because it's a vulnerable thing, having lessons and basically going, here's what you can't do. Yet to have that relationship with someone where you do trust them down to the ground, and Mike is a great example of that. The other teachers, I did not move on from them because I didn't trust them or anything like that. It was just a sequence of events that happened that way, and I've sort of like found Mike, and it was just like, okay, yeah, as I say, you're not getting rid of me now. But he is it's not just that pushing of physicality. I 100% trust him that no matter what advice he gives me, whatever advice I'm asking him for, he always 100% has my best interests at heart. I trust him with my life. I often say he's like my third dad. I say third dad because I've got my dad, I've got Sharice's dad, and then there's Mike. So he's like my third dad, and he is my therapist, he is my guru. As I say, I trust him, and I think that there's a lot to be said for that. If you can find someone that you do implicitly trust, that is doing things for the right reasons, that has your best interest at heart. Like, number one, things like the fact that, I might overrun on a lesson. He's not going to charge me for that because he cares. Like, if it's because we're doing something of value in that moment, he wouldn't just go, oh, we're in the middle of this, but no, just stop there because, no, your time is up. No, that's not the vibe at all. And if anyone is like that with you, I'd say maybe move on, because that's not someone who has pride in what they do as a teacher to me. The other very important thing is consistency, and I'm talking about that from both sides. So, as I say, I have not had a lesson in a while, and that is me not being consistent, but I have other things that I am being consistent with, so I know that I can't be consistent with it, so I'm not going to commit to it. It would be a waste of money, it would be a waste of his time, but at some point I will be consistent again. It's not only your consistency, so every week having a lesson, or every 2 weeks, because you need to build that momentum, that foundation, that friendship, that relationship, that, all this stuff. It takes time, but you have to do it consistently. Also, from the teacher's side, prime example, I don't offer lessons per se because I think it's unfair. I go away a lot, I go on tour, I leave the country for months at a time, and the thought of having a student who is just not going to have a lesson for 3 months because I'm away working doesn't sit well with me at all. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, it's my personal opinion, it's how I feel about it. If I'm going to teach someone, I want to have consistency for them. So if you can find a teacher that is committing to you and to, not just a lesson here and there. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have one-off lessons, like with, say, a drummer that's over from the States. I'll go and have a one-off lesson, but I know that that's what it is, and it's just like, cool, I know what this is, it's not an ongoing thing, it's just a one-off. I want to come in and ask you X, Y, Z because that is your forte, that is what I think you're amazing at, and I would like to learn from you. Cool, that's that. Regular lessons, different kettle of fish. It's very long term. It's, you'd like to think, and I know that Mike does this, he has a long-term plan for working on things. You know, it's not just this week we're just going to randomly do this exercise. It's like, no, right, this week we're going to do this exercise because I have a view to in 6 weeks' time we're going to be here, but you need to do this exercise right now in order to take those steps to get there in 6 weeks. So anyway, that is my rant on lessons. I think that they're incredibly important. As I say, it's all good and well, the online thing, but it's so easy to pick up bad habits or bad technique, get injured, stuff like that, which in the long term makes no sense. Whereas if you can have someone in front of you looking at how you're holding the sticks, how you're sitting, all that sort of stuff, and go, maybe if you just slightly change that because it will help you in the long run. I don't want you getting carpal tunnel. I don't want you to get, bad shoulders because you're hunched over, in saying that I've got terrible technique sometimes. But just recognizing that and having someone outside of you who knows that, that posture will lead to problems in the future because they have that wealth of experience is invaluable. So I would say go find a teacher, maybe try out 2 or 3 different teachers, see who you connect with the best, see who you resonate with the best, and yeah, just don't feel that the first one has to be the one, and just have fun with it. And like I said, I think the biggest thing with finding a teacher is the trust thing. The trust thing, for me at least, and again, it probably says something about my personality, the trust thing is everything in every relationship I have, actually. So yeah, find someone that you trust has your best interests at heart, can get you where you want to be going, and impart their wisdom, not just in a playing way, but also in a wider spectrum of life, of career, of rest. Mike also tells me to rest. Oh, and he always told me about working out and stuff, and for years I was like, I'm fine, I don't need to work out. Turns out he was right. I hate it when Mike's right. This is what I mean by saying he's like my third dad. He's like, oh Mike, you're right, alright, fine. He's amazing. He's literally he's one of the best humans on this planet that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. He's a proper dude. Anyway, right, I'm going to love you and leave you on this subject, but if you have any subjects you'd like me to cover at all, then please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section or send me an email at info@adrummersguide2.com. Alright, I hope you're having a lovely week or day or whatever, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next week for another subject. Alright, lots of love, you guys. See you later. Bye.